But yeah, I'm going to kick off with a warm welcome to tonight's special event, and thank you so much for joining us. We're actually here to mark 25 years of helping accountants take bold steps across the world, across the globe. We Think Global Recruitment. We When we're doing this, we're gathering information, and we hope you're going to gather information today and find inspiration and start planning your own international career move. You're going to be hearing from five amazing individuals who have taken the step and the leap, move to another country, and some to more than one country. They'll be sharing their stories, the highlights, some hurdles maybe, some true life-changing bits, and also we're going to open up to a Q&A session, and I know you'll all be itching to ask them lots of questions. I'm not just here to host as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own story, where I've actually moved from England to Australia and then on to beautiful Scotland, where I now call home. So I'm going to tell you a bit about that trip. But first off, today, I'm going to introduce Sarah, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself. We'll come back. Sarah is we're going to go through everybody one at a time, I should say. Sarah's a fellow of the ACCA, and she trained in Zambia. She's worked in the UK with PwC and now calls Dublin home with EY, and she's going to share her perspective on moving in the big four firms and adjusting to new clients, new industries, and a whole new culture. Following on from her, then we're going to have Romeo tell us a bit. He's a US qualified tax professional who started his career at the Big Four in New York and Atlanta, and now lives and works in the Cayman Islands. And he brings a valuable insight to global mobility, private clients, and navigating the Caribbean career landscape. Then we're going to hear from Bridgette. She has built a truly global career in internal audit and SOX. She works across South Africa. She has worked across South Africa, I should say, the US, Australia, and she's now based in Bermuda with PwC. And she's got some incredible insights into leadership, relocation, and realities. Then we're going to hear from Tyson. Tyson's one of our own consultants. He's made the move from Canada to New Zealand and then Colombia. So he's got a really unique view on career change. And of course, like myself, Tyson and I also have the unique view on everybody else that we've moved across the globe. So very exciting. I'm going to start off then with Sarah. So bringing back Sarah, I'll let you do a reintroduction of yourself because I've just whizzed through everybody and I'm sure everybody didn't take all of that in. So over to you, Sarah. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good. Thanks, Abigail, for that. And welcome everyone to our today's webinar. Well, to start off, I'm Sarah Guanu. I am originally from Zambia. So I started off my career in Zambia with one of the big four firms. I worked there for some time until I moved to another big four firm. So I worked there on my second leg of the audit in the audit industry. I worked there for like 2 years. And then an opportunity presented itself for me to move to the UK. So back in Zambia, mainly, if I can just touch on the sectors that I used to work in. So I used to work in telecom. I used to work in mining industry because the town that I come from is mainly mining and mining support. So I had a lot of those entities on my portfolio. So I also worked in manufacturing, telecoms, like I said, transportation and all that. So when I moved to the UK, with PwC, I found like totally different because obviously there was no mining there. There was telecoms, but then I was put in general audit, but then I was put on clients that were very new to me. So I started auditing law firms. I started auditing also products like supermarkets. I also went into the SOX audit of things. That was quite new. So for me, really, I think when I joined there, I was like, oh my goodness, what have I put myself into? But then at the end of the day, when I sat back and said, okay, this is an opportunity for me to kind of grow and also broaden my perspective and also my experience across the industry. So I stayed in the UK for about 2 years. And then I thought to myself, I was like, okay, I can join some like another firm. It was just like a personal decision because there were some personal circumstances that drove me to, change firms. So I moved to Dublin last year in December. So when I moved here, it was really, really cold, really cold. But then I had already gotten used to the weather anyway. Like back in the UK, it's almost the same as here in Dublin. So when I moved here, so my clients were also different, very different. So I started auditing, like online advertising companies, like pharmaceuticals and all that. So I think my move presented its own challenges as well as opportunities for me to grow. Challenges in that I had to learn, the new culture, which I found a little bit, me being unlike, I'm an introvert, believe it or not, I'm an introvert. So learning a new culture, because if you stay in and you are not going out to like kind of explore your surrounding and things around you, you are not going to learn so much about, the environment that you found yourself in. So I had to push myself out there to learn exactly what is going on around, and also just having supportive people around me, having friends in the office, having friends outside the office, it really benefited me. And also, so the move to Dublin wasn't that challenging because I think the two environments, the UK and Ireland, are quite similar. But then it also brought a perspective of me like trying to establish my roots here, getting to know people, getting to know places and all that. But on the brighter side, I think in both firms, one thing that I really found quite useful for me was having people that are supportive. When you join a new firm, obviously you find different things. You have to learn a new system, you have to learn the way things are done, and that kind of thing. So like on my side, having people around to support you through that process, the transition process, and know how things are done in a firm, I think it was really, really beneficial. So far, I'm loving Dublin. The weather is good. The weather is good today. It's so sunny. So I went outside to have a little bit of sun. Yeah. So just in case you have any other questions, just let me know. Yeah. Thanks you, Abia.
Thank you, Sarah. That's absolutely fantastic. A great overview. Challenging to move to somewhere on this side of the world and go to Dublin in November. Doesn't get much colder. But yeah, I love those cultural tips as well, and putting yourself out there. That's been great. Okay, what we'll do is we'll hear from all three stories, and then we'll move to the Q&As. And so please do put your questions in the Q&A box. If anyone's tried and it's not working, please put a message in the chat and let me know. But oh no, they're coming in. It's working. Yes, here we go. So we'll come back to the questions in a moment. And please feel free to start with the person you want to aim them at, or for the whole panel, your choice. Okay, let's go and speak to Romeo next and hear his story. Exciting.
Hi, everyone. Abigail, thank you for having me, and happy 25 years. So my name is Romeo. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and then I went to the last 2 years of high school to a small country, Swaziland, circled by South Africa. And I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to go study in the US, in upstate New York. And then I moved to New York City, where I worked for the Big Four. So what I was doing was taxes for high net worth individual, and also working with the big banks, hedge funds, wealth asset management from a tax perspective, and also advising their global mobility population with regards to tax. So that meant like talking to other firms in other countries. So that gave me like a global perspective. And then I worked in that role for 7 years and worked for a few big four. And as my career was advancing, I was thinking, what do I need from my career? What do I need next? What do I want to do? Where do I want to live? And that's where Think Global came in, and they were very instrumental and in getting me this opportunity that I have in the Cayman Islands. I'm working for PwC, and I kind of pivoted a little bit my career. I'm now working more for the corporate hedge funds and getting more like an in-depth training of hedge funds and wealth asset management, and which should have been maybe difficult to do in the US. So I'm like very grateful that I was able to pivot and live in this beautiful Caribbean island and also get to do, what I love.
You're muted.
Well done. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. Oh dear. Bit of an in-joke with my team here, team meetings, to be honest. So I just get so excited when I'm hearing your stories and I want to comment on them. But Romeo, that was brilliant. Really good to hear. I'm sure we're going to get lots of questions about tax now and global mobility and people asking what it's going to be like. And what great thing to do that pivot and going into the hedge funds. Wow, we'll hear more about that later in the Q&A session, I'm sure. Thank you. Okay. So, without further ado, let's move over and hear Bridgette's story. And yeah, welcome, Bridgette.
Thank you so much. Good evening and afternoon and morning where everyone is. So name is Bridgette, born and bred in Pietermaritzburg, KZN in South Africa. So I went to school, studied it, did everything under the sun in terms of like selection of subjects, which gave me eventually the options of which route to take when I went to university. So I did accounting, I did math and physics and bio, and I couldn't kind of figure out whether I wanted to be an attorney or an accountant. I was very, very fortunate that I was actually sponsored academically with a bursary by EY for my full years of study in university, which then translated to me having to then join the firm to do my articles through the CICA program or CASA. So I start here, well, from this point, because my vision and desire has always been to qualify as a chartered accountant. And it just did not happen, in the sense that I didn't pass certain exams. I didn't qualify as a CASA. And I was devastated because I was like, okay, what do I do now? I'm an external audit. I did my article CICA. So what does this mean? But the way my life and God has just kind of just navigated me to where I am now is mind blowing. Fast forward, I completed my articles at EY with a variety of clients working in insurance, in public sector, in manufacturing, in mining. So I was in external audit for all these years, well, the 3 years in Johannesburg. One of my clients was also had a headquarters in the United States, and it kind of had itchy feet at the time. Like, I want to have a global mobility opportunity. So I was very fortunate to join still EY in the United States, because of that connect of the type of clients that I was working on in the different industries, still in external audits. I joined the external audit team, and the experience that further unraveled from that, was now being exposed to PCAOB audits in the US, SOX audits, and compliance types such as public sector audits, which are called OMB or A133 engagements. So I was 9 years strong in external audit. Then I realized I actually don't like external audit anymore. Maybe I should explore internal audits. And that's where I then transitioned into external audit, where I was fully immersed in getting a new skill in ICFR and SOX exposure and SOC reporting. And I'm honing in on this because I'm trying to highlight and reiterate to you the importance on, in every role, in every season that you're in, try to pull out the experience that you're going to take away, even if it's just a short-term assignment. It's one particular client. Tell yourself going in, or identify for yourself rather, what skill you want to gain from that particular season or exposure. I eventually left the firm. I went into industry in mining. I went into manufacturing and Heiser-Busch and Bev, supporting them in their SOX engagements or projects rather in industry. back in South Africa again after a couple of years in the US, 7, 8 years, whatever it was. And then I was like, I want to go out again. And then I was so grateful that I had, Abigail's wonderful team to support me in my transition. And that's when I got the opportunity to move to Australia and Perth. In Perth, the type of industries that are more prominent are the mining sectors. And because of my diverse portfolio in public accounting, like I said, it was mining, it was public sector, it was insurance. I had the experience and learned certain, technologies or whatever the case may be that helped me to pivot and hone in on what was required in Perth, which was the mining sector, etc. So I was there for a little bit and then went back to South Africa again, and then got the opportunity to move to Bermuda with PwC. And what was supporting, this transition was the strong SOX experience that I had in public sector, in public accounting historically, as well as the industry exposure with Anheuser-Busch and Bevs, as well as the mining sector for SOX and projects that I had worked on. And so yeah, besides me at some point devastated, I was not a CSA. But I then qualified as an associate general accountant with SICA. So I was like, okay, yeah, I am an accountant. I've got now these additional skills, which are so prevalent and important for GRC, governance, risk, and control, or compliance. And that's what I enjoy, and that's my strength. I love taking companies from, cradle to grave in terms of building their systems or their processes, and just seeing those projects flourish and supporting certain, projects in doing an IPO or pre-IPO assessment and engagement. And those are the things that kind of just have set me apart. So like the takeaways from a professional perspective is honing in on the skill that you want to take away or learn from a particular engagement or season or task, whatever the case is, building your network, building your community as well. As I moved from country to country and back home and another country and back home, there was nothing more important than finding your community. For me, it's church. For me, I love golf. For me, I love to sing. So I find things that help me also just make me a whole person. What will fill my cup when I'm honestly traveling alone to these, sometimes very isolated and lonely places for me, because home will always be home, and that's South Africa. But find your community. A friend of mine used to say, if you don't immerse yourself in country XYZ, XYZ will leave you, so you have to plug yourself in, be intentional in finding your community, the skills you want to learn, whatever it is that'll just fill your cup. So that has been kind of just my joy and appreciation of getting the Big Four experience, the firms, the wonderful firms that I've had the opportunity to work for, and the clients that I've had to exposure, supporting.
You're on mute again.
I know, don't worry. I get there eventually. So yeah, I was just saying, I'm seeing a little bit of an emerging theme coming through with this: immerse yourself, get involved, with the communities around you, and you'll enjoy being where you are, and you'll settle in all the better. Thank you very much for that as well, Bridgette, and we'll come back to your Q&As in a minute. Tyson, over to you to tell us a little bit more.
Sure. Awesome. Thanks, Abigail. So I originally am from Canada. I went to school there and worked there after university. I didn't study accounting. I studied sport management, actually. And after a few years, I thought maybe there's something else interesting out in the world that I should explore, and took the leap and went to New Zealand, knowing absolutely nobody there. Didn't know anyone who never even went there. But I took the chance and went, and it was honestly the best experience of my life up to that point. You get to make so many new friends. What you find as well is that there's people from all over the world traveling to that location, wherever you may be. There's going to be international people, so you're accepted very quickly into both, groups of people from locals to people from all over the world. And you share exciting stories and experiences, and you build new friendships that you make forever. And I started recruiting in New Zealand. That's where my recruitment story began. So I was there for 2.5 years, traveled all around the country 2 times through. Um, I really recommend when you move to a place, don't just stay where you are, and if, travel around, get to know the country, other cities, other regions, and get as much as you can out of that experience. And it makes you appreciate the place where you live even more. And if you ever do leave, it makes you want to go back and visit even more. So after 3 years of living in New Zealand, I had the confidence, because I made that move, to not just limit myself to where I am when looking for new opportunities, but I could open myself up to the entire world, which is another big advantage of making an international move. Gives you that confidence to chase your dream job no matter where it may be. So I took the chance to travel for a little bit, and then I was able to find this role with Think Global Recruitment, which was fully remote. And I decided to get away from Canada in the freezing cold winter as fast as I could and move to Colombia and worked remotely with Think Global Recruitment. That's where I am now. I met my wife here. So international moves can not only lead to new professional experiences, but can grow your personal life in many amazing ways. One of mine was meeting my wife. So moving overseas and just traveling in general has changed my life in ways that I never would have expected living in a small town of 2,000 people in Canada. Um, and now just taking that first leap of faith is what changes your life forever. No matter how big or small it is, it's worth taking. And who knows where you can end up in time. So that's a little bit about my story.
I'm going to leave myself unmuted for the rest of this webinar. Um, and, no, Tyson, I was just saying, I remember the day you said, "Can I go over to Colombia and work from there?" And we said, "Yeah, let's give that a go." And you've got to do lots of traveling as well from there and work remotely for different times of the year in different places as well.
Mhm.
So from that confidence you got from that first trip. And my story is not too dissimilar. When I was 21, I lived in a town slightly bigger than Tyson's, 40,000 people. And I got to the stage where I was thinking, I'm going to go and spend summer working in a bar in Greece. I knew people had done it and thought that sounded fun. Tom Cruise had just brought cocktail out, and I was going to be the new person making the cocktails. I was sitting with the travel agent, and I overheard a conversation with the travel agent was selling a ticket to somebody to go to Australia. And it was about the same price at the time. I don't know why, but it was. And I went, wow, okay, that sounds more money for my bucks. I'm going to try that and go there and be different to other people. So I didn't know a lot about Australia at the time. In fact, what I knew about Australia was what you saw on TV on Neighbours and Home and Away TV series. We didn't have the internet back then, so I couldn't do heaps of research, but I thought, I don't care, I'm young, I'm 21, let's go and see what it's going to be like. I traveled via Asia to get there. Got to Australia and absolutely fell in love with the place. Um, Initially, big eyes wide open. You're moving to a big city from a smaller town, and the differences, the pace, the number of people around you, and the way things work can be very different. But people in Australia were so lovely, and they were so welcoming and so friendly that they made me feel at home. And there was still also an expat community there. And like all the other speakers have said, I found things I enjoyed doing and met people through that route and made friends outside of work and started to make friends inside of work as well. I unfortunately did not take the chartered accountancy exam, and this is one thing that led to my downfall because I wanted to stay in Australia and I couldn't. You guys are very clever by taking the chartered accountancy exam. It's like getting a ticket to go anywhere you want in the world. And I didn't do that. So I didn't get to stay in Australia past my 3 years. I'd been trying to get permanent visa and just didn't work because I wasn't in the right profession. I was in marketing and PR. So I trundled back to the UK, and a lot of people I knew in Australia were friends from I'd met were from Scotland, and I thought I'm going to come up and see what this beautiful Scotland's about that everyone talks about. There's no expat like a Scottish expat, believe me. They will talk about how beautiful it is all the time. So I came up to Edinburgh for a few weeks, and that was 30 years ago. I'm still here. With the confidence I gained from that overseas trip, though, and I will say this to this day, by the time I was 28, I set up Think Global Recruitment and have run a business that's now 25 years old. And I feel it is from the confidence that I got from making that trip to Australia, putting myself outside my comfort zone, taking on the challenges of doing that. Which actually, at the end of the day, weren't as big as you might have thought they would be, because there's always people around that are welcoming and will help you. And from from our experience, Tyson and myself and the rest of our team helping people move into roles across the globe, the other thing is that everybody tells us when we do our feedback afterwards that they've been welcomed by these companies, and mainly because a lot of other people have already made the trip before and they know what it was like, so they're welcoming you in, having had hindsight on what it was like being new to the team. Okay, so we've given you 5 stories. We've given you different continents. We've given you different moves. Some of your questions might be relevant to the locations, but also some of your questions might not be relevant to that at all, more just about the actual logistics of moving. I can see that we have got some nice questions coming in, so I'm going to ask them to our lovely panel. And as Sarah started, the questions first of all are for her. Sarah, I've got a question for you. How difficult or easy was it to transition from one audit firm to another, given the different audit systems you had to use?
Um, well, I think on my side, really, the systems with the because like on my side, I worked with Deloitte. I first of all worked with EY. That's where I started my audit career in, and then I moved to Deloitte. And from Deloitte, I went to PwC, and then from PwC, I went back to EY. So all these different firms have got totally different audit systems, totally different, the way they do things. But then audit is audit at the end of the day. I think the only thing that might be different is just, the clients that you're working with, and probably the way, things are done. But like on my side, when I transitioned like between the 3 different firms, I think the adaptation for me to systems was not that difficult, because let's say, for example, when I moved to Deloitte, I had like 2 weeks pre-training to do some training and go through their systems and everything. But then obviously that is just theory. Then there has to be the application part, right? And so for me it wasn't that difficult really. And when I went to PwC, I had like a 1 month learning period for me to learn their systems and everything. And also, I think the first few months, I can say, it's a little bit, it's like a learning phase, right? It's a learning phase, but then once you get used to it, then it's very, very easy. And then when I went when I joined EY, it was a totally different system that they are using now to what they were using back then. So I had to learn again. I think like on my side, I think just going through the learning that I had, the theory part that I had, and also the application part, I think really helped to kind of get through or know the systems really well. But I'm still asking questions as it is, like with the EY system, obviously, I'm still asking questions, but it's not something that is like really, really daunting, in as much as systems are different. But if you know how to navigate in one system, it might kind of help you to learn a new system. But obviously, they will be totally different anyway. But for me, like the transition it wasn't that difficult, if I may say that.
Yes. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I do hear that a lot, that you pick them up But did you find it helpful that there were people around you though to answer those questions? Because you said you were asking questions still today, and the people are
Oh,
happy with that?
definitely. Oh, definitely, definitely. So if you are like, if I'm not sure of anything, like today in the morning, I had a question on something. I just pinged someone and say, "Oh, how do you do this?" He said, "Oh, can we jump on a call? Share your screen. Let's do this." You know. So he walked me through on how things are, how things are done. I think the main bit for everyone to know is there's no shame in asking. If you don't
Yeah,
know something, you don't know it. And the more you waste time trying to figure it out yourself, you're not going to get there. Ask someone who is able to, help you, and they'll be willing, you know, to walk you through whatever thing that you need your help with.
brilliant. That's so good. And then, in fact, Bridget, you had a bit of a leap. You had to go from ISAs to PCOB, and how hard was that?
Um, Not, I wouldn't say it was difficult at all. I think from ISA perspective, it's principle based. When I studied accounting, we studied IFRS standards, which are also principle based. So there's a lot of professional judgments around how do you account for something. Transitioning to PCOB is a little bit, like for a better word, rule based, which leads to your SOX reporting. So you follow the rules. If the rules say X, do X, Y, Z, do X, Y, Z. It also requires a little bit more extensive documentation as well under PCOB regulations. So the transition between ISIS and PCOB, I want to say my strength is PCOB only because I like rules and I like telling people what to do, and rules back up what you're telling people to do, what you're asking people to do. So it's extensive documentation because we're following, your PCOB requirements and SEC regulations. But the transition was not challenging at all. As much as there may be changes and revisions too, you just stay up to date. Yeah, ask the right questions or ask the wrong questions. It doesn't matter, but ask the question, but also just stay to date with prevalent, changes.
Brilliant. Love it. Okay. And a slightly different angle of question now, Romeo. Um, how have you found the work-life balance? Is it better since you've made the move or any different?
It's definitely better, and I think these are some of the things like people also need to think about. And coming from New York, where we're working like 70, 80 hours, like weekends. I've spent weekend working at 2 p.m. and then show up on Monday. I was 8 on my desk the following day. And there's a little bit of burnout, and it just feels a lot of deadlines as opposed to coming here. For starters, the day is 7.5 hours as opposed to the 8 standard hours. So you gain back like those 2.5 hours a week, but it's public accounting. We work more than that. And also flexibility here is we have to be 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. And we also work with a lot of like young parents. They don't miss pickup for their kids. They don't miss drop off. We have a group chat where if someone needs to do anything, they can just message and get that flexibility. I had this call. I just emailed my team on the WhatsApp and said, "Hey, I need an hour today. I'll be back." And that's fine. And Friday we leave at 4, and you get time to do the other things that you need, like cooking and running for me, or walking on the beach for me. I'm in the Caribbean. And those things are really key because our job is high stress, deadline, long hours. So if you get that flexibility to actually do the things you love and become a person, like what Bridget was talking about, having your cup full, that re-energizes you and make you, excited about your career, makes you want to show up the next day. So I think that was part of the reason why I even wanted a career change, because I was feeling that burnout and I was like, this is not how I want to spend the next 10 years, like on this grinder. So it's been very wonderful just to have that work-life balance. And even when I was interviewing with the partner, he was laughing. He's like, yeah, it's not going to be what you're used to in a big city in New York. Things are a little more laid back here. Like they show up with shorts to the office, and I'm pretty happy with the work-life balance. And that was definitely a lacking factor in my prior role.
Great. It's a great question. I was very intrigued actually today. I was looking through our attendees' choices of where they wanted to go. And probably a year ago, the highest ranking one would have been the US. And it's been difficult to get to the US for many years unless you do an internal transfer, or you did very well getting that scholarship there. But the one thing I always said to people was, but you'd be much happier elsewhere with the work-life balance, and visit the US because you'll get holidays wherever else you go. And,
Yeah, it's an hour away, so I can go and come back if I need
yeah.
to. Yeah.
You probably see more of the US now you're not living there than you did when you were there because you were too busy working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. No, wonderful. Thank you for that answer. I've got one for you, Bridgette. What are your tips on how to approach how someone seeking to pivot from external audit to internal audit? This is coming from someone who's got 4 years external audit experience and no internal audit yet.
Internal audit is so broad in the sense that it's, yes, you're supporting your prospective engagement. Now I'm speaking from if you join a public accounting firm. Yes, you'll have pure internal audits. You'll also have special projects such as system implementation, IT, SOC reporting, etc. So, wanting to pivot, I would encourage you to get an additional certification as well, such that will support the type of work that would be done in the IA space. Which would be maybe your CIA, doing your CISA, doing your risk management certification, and anything else that would help you. And honestly, internal audits and external audits will always be audits. Internal audit, though, focuses more on internal controls. So I would encourage you to get an additional certification. Your external audit experience is already a plus. It's a strength because yes, you do substantive testing and etc., but you also do internal control testing to a certain extent in external audits. So your audit experience, I think, is solid. Just maybe get that additional certification that would help support you in the type of work that you would actually be exposed to in IA.
Thank you. Good. That's a great answer. It's something a lot of people want to do is pivot. Usually it's harder to do if you're moving to another country at the same time, but you can do it locally and then make that move quite often. But you've really achieved great things in that. Thank you. For all three of you, there's a question here about what was the visa relocation process like? How long did it take? Anything unexpected? Did you get help and support? It's 3 segments. I'll remind you if we miss any of them. Sarah, should we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So probably like on my side, the visa process wasn't that long. So when I did the interviews, setting up the interviews with Think Global, up to the time that I got the interview, and then finally I got offered a job, and then the visa process kicked in. So for me, when I started the visa process application, to the time that I got my visa, it was only about 1.5 months. I got the visa. It wasn't that like long really for me. So as long as I had the work permit, I had the contract with me, I had all the information that was required for me to submit along with the visa application process. It didn't even take that long. I think it was like in the third week, the person that was doing the applications it constantly kept me updated on how it was going, and he had given me time frame of about 2 months or so. I was like, oh, okay, and I even got relaxed over it, and then before the time had even elapsed, the visa was out. So it didn't take that long for me, really.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay. And what about you, Romeo?
So I would say in America, it was a little bit of a headache. I got the H-1B visa, which you get in a lottery system. Out of like 300 people, they only give 60,000. I didn't get it the first year, and I got it the second year. And you are worried. I had to go to grad school because as a visa fix in between and spend money that I didn't have. So, and then you're worried that when the visa happens, am I going to get a green card? And with the H-1B, like in the US, there's certain things you cannot do. You cannot buy a house, you cannot buy a car, you cannot make long-term plans. I mean, you could if you're Bill Gates, but you cannot make long-term plans. based off of that. So those are the things you need to think about as opposed to the Caribbean. You also get like the first world experience, but the visa was easy. All I had to do was just provide a couple of documents. In a week or two, I had my work permit. That's it. You're done. And with that work permit, it also helps you to get a tourist visa or a business visa to the US for 5 years. So which means you can go in and out to the US because now you have this thing. So you don't be hung up on countries and like look sideways. Like the Caribbean is perfect here. I'm having a grander time compared to the US, but like that process is less stressful. And it can be a really big stress while you're sitting in that position, worrying about immigration. Is that visa going to get extended? What am I going to do after it expires? So you want to think carefully about those items as well.
Thank you. Good points, Bridgette.
I can definitely attest to Romeo's comments as well. Also being kind of part of the BBC in a sense, well, in Bermuda with the firm that I'm with, they honestly they were so supportive, and the visa process or the work permit process was short of a month, I want to say, and similar to the Cayman Islands, I would just need either a UK or a US business or B1, B2 visa. And I've got a 10-year visa for traveling via the US. So honestly, the support and the transition and getting all that the required documentation of the work permits and the visas was seamless, and the support was absolutely there. As long as, of course, just had my documentation, I was submitting them timely. It was honestly easier than I thought, than I would have expected.
Brilliant. Thank you. Good. Okay. Romeo's got another one. What are the steps that you took to transition from tax to hedge funds?
So it's actually tax within hedge funds, but I think all you have to do is I had a different experience, and when I worked with Think Global, right? They just encouraged me, like, you can pivot what you already have to get this position. And then I talked to the partners that were interviewing me and say, okay, you may need to get this, and that training. So even if you're coming from audit and you want to go to tax or to want to go to certain industry, I think the most important thing is just to raise your hand. You never know where it takes you. Like if I had known that I would have gotten into hedge fund tax, I probably have done it three years ago. But when I was applying for this opportunity, the door opened and I went for it. But it's not hedge fund. We work with the hedge funds, but we handle just the tax piece of it. And if you're in audit, you already do some kind of tax something. So just raise your hand and say, I'm interested in this, and see where it goes.
Brilliant. Thank you. Great. Okay. Sarah, what have you found has been the most rewarding and, on the flip side, the most challenging about relocating to Dublin?
Well, I think for me, really, what has been rewarding is I was able to find, good friends here, as well as transitioning into a firm, and also I had family here. So when I was in the UK, I had a friend, because for me, when I was in the UK, I was in Leeds. So I had a friend who was in London, and I would like go there, just visit, and then come back. But here, I have family that I'm staying with, and one of the things that I have really found, beneficial moving from, UK to here, I think it's just the way the workload is shared. So we have a lot of people that we are working with in terms of sharing, jobs or things that we need to do in an audit. And just having that really good support system around, I think that is one of the things that I have really found quite beneficial to me. The challenging thing that I have found here in Dublin is just the weather. Ireland, it rains a lot.
Well, we hear that so often for lots of locations in this side of the world when people are going for warmer climates. But yeah.
Yeah, it rains a lot. So when it was somewhere in May, I was asking like people around there, like, when is it going to stop raining? They're like, we don't know, just get used to it. Probably your summer will be shorter than the UK. But aside from that, it's just normal. It's just normal, kind of weather here. So it's just about adapting to it, really.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think that's such a good question. I'm actually going to pose it to the other two as well. So, Romeo, best thing and most challenging. Well,
I mean, I think the best thing is just a different culture because it's such a small island. People are very friendly, are more welcoming, slow paced life. I live in nature. I'm always outdoors, the beach, the great food, the Caribbean lifestyle, um, just the excitement of it all. Like even just like the corporate culture here, you can actually feel that it's different. Um, and the most challenging, I guess, is just starting afresh, being on your own, and missing your old life, being away from family. But again, the key is to be involved in your community. I volunteer. I show up at like company runs and sports, and I've been, even when I moved here, people are like, you need to get involved. I talk to my neighbors, I go to dinner with my neighbors. So it's just about being a community person and getting involved. So just being on your own, I guess that's the hard thing, but there are ways to remedy that.
okay, great. Thank you. Bridgette, you're the third one on that one. Let's see whether you've anything new or we're going to see same things again, I'm sure.
Well, it's definitely the similar same theme. Living in Bermuda, beautiful, beautiful island, turquoise waters, so serene. It is absolutely such a breath of fresh air and a sense of community, and people are so friendly, even the police, and you're like, wow. I mean, everyone is just joyful. I'm like, okay, this I subscribe to. This it's a wonderful, wonderful island. On the flip side, honestly, I don't think I've had any lows or downside. I think I'm an experienced starter over because of the different countries that I've lived, internationally. So I've kind of got a rhythm of what do I need to do now? Okay, it's the visa process, and then it's like, oh, I need to pack up my life and say goodbye again. But the yes, it may feel lonely for a bit because of if time differences with your family, but you have video calls and WhatsApp. So there are workarounds to kind of mitigate the loneliness and just plugging yourself in communities and just staying busy and looking at your bigger why. Why did you do this? Then that kind of eliminates anything else that kind of maybe kind of pulling you down.
Yeah, no, I can get that. Good. Okay. It's good that so basically what we're getting the message across is that the challenge, the good stuff totally outweighs the challenge. Yeah. Yeah, nods all around. I think Tyson and I agree with that from where we've done our international moves as well. So excellent. Okay. Sarah, so Bridgette, actually, this is a question for Bridgette. You're AGA qualified, but not CA. Yes.
Yes.
Did you find that a challenge? Because I mean, we do find that a challenge sometimes. So you've obviously gone around that and done so many brilliant, great things.
Mm, in terms of now moving into either external audits or internal audits, was that a question mark? No, because of the experience. So I think if you can sell your strength more than or looking, it's all about perspective. Don't look at what you don't have. What's your selling point? What experience do you have? Skill set? What technologies have you used? Yeah, the skill sets. And HESA is a strong qualification. It's with psycho as well. So you're an accountant and you've had, I can imagine, whatever clients or exposure you've had in external audits. So focus on the strength, perspective and sell that more than I don't have. But if you feel you want to get, like I said before, whether you're pivoting into internal audits or whatever, sector, maybe hone in on getting additional qualifications or training that we need that will just set you apart.
Brilliant. Okay. Tyson, I've got one for you. You mentioned that you met your now wife after your move from New Zealand. How do you balance your work-life balance so well that allowed you for a meaningful relationship? Wow, did Maria put this up here?
I don't know, maybe.
It's somebody's
uh,
moving soon, and he wants some tips to know how to keep a work-life balance when you're moving internationally, I think.
okay. Well, I think it just comes to, how organized and your time management skills. You can always get better, but yeah, working remotely, or in any way, if you can manage your time well and stick to it, eliminate the distractions, when you're supposed to be working, get your work done, and make sure you're allocating time to experience the non-work related things of life. There's lots of different resources you can use now online and all sorts of different things with AI and whatnot to help you get more organized and be more efficient. So, yeah, as long as you make it a priority and eliminate distractions when you're supposed to be working, there's always time to be doing the things you enjoy outside of work.
I think part of the challenges we hear from some of the candidates that we've helped is that, obviously when you move and you're then looking for a new house, or you want to get your phone and you want to get your tax number, setting those things up and juggling that with starting your new job and learning the job can be a little bit challenging. That would be a nice question just to sort of give a closing question with you guys. I have knowledge there's some questions here that have been asked that are more to do with how we can help you at Think Global Recruitment, but we will get back to you on those, and we do answer those at other webinars. Today, I want to take advantage of having these three great people with us, so we've concentrated on those. But yeah, just to wrap up, let's hear from everybody how they juggled with that, finding their homes and the settling in process when they got to their new place first, working a new job. Do you want to start then, Sarah?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. So I think the first thing when I moved to the UK, I had a friend, like I said, in London. So I stayed with that friend for like a month while I was looking for an apartment down in Leeds. So it's I think for as long as I had all the appropriate documentation, I didn't even need a referral. I didn't even need a guarantor or anything. It was just a straight application for me. So when I put in my application, it was like kind of straightforward. And then when I moved down here in Dublin, I also had a friend and my sister who was already here. So I stayed with her for 1 month, and then we found our own apartment. I know it can be a little bit challenging in finding accommodation here in Dublin, but as long as you are talking to people, they'll be able to assist you. So as long as you have all the documentation in order, so it might not end up being that difficult.
Great, good. We had a little bit of feedback there on the video, but I think we could just about hear what you were saying. And yeah, we hear a lot about the challenges of getting accommodation in Dublin, but most people I speak to say, well, they actually did find it in the end and they got somewhere quite nice. So that's always good news. Okay, all right. What about yourself, Bridgette?
If you can start looking from your home country, searching kind of like the areas, what you like, price brackets, etc. But don't rule out also the support of the firm that's bringing you over as well. They are very, very supportive, typically in recommendations of your area. I mean, being new to any country, you probably don't even have like a credit score, etc., and recommendations. So don't rule out asking, your local firm if you can provide maybe your employment letter, because locals like your realtors, etc., appreciate that there are many expats that move into these different regions. So there are support systems and workarounds for things like that. But yeah, do the little bit of legwork of what you would like, what areas, price brackets, and just your community when you transfer to the region.
Brilliant. Thank you. Is there anything you want to add to that, Romeo?
Yeah, I mean, just talk to the people who have moved before you because they have a little bit of experience. And I want to add also that, Think Global was also instrumental. Like they were sending me links they were doing research from their offices. Even though we're not here, they're sending me links. Have you looked at this? This is the price range you told you. So just like the company, Think Global, your friends who you're working with, just talk to everyone and then just use all that information.
Brilliant, excellent. I'd also like to add that I know in many locations, we're told by the employers that they know agents and they'll give you tips on which agents to go to because a lot of the properties don't actually make it on the market. So the stuff that you see on the internet is often inflated prices because they're the ones that didn't go. The other stuff's already gone through the back door through people who know people or agents, etc. So don't always be put off by the prices you see on the internet. There is other stuff out there. Absolutely. Today has been brilliant. I'm conscious that we've just hit our time. I'm sad because it's been so good. So many wonderful tips that we've been getting from you guys. We will do more of these. And if anyone wants to register with Think Global Recruitment, we do have that 25 years of knowledge of helping people move across the globe, and we can answer questions that you might have. So you can send your details into mail@thinkgr.com. That will come out to you as well after this, as well as you'll get a survey as well, just a question to ask how you feel we've done today. We'd love to hear back from you on that one. And we'd love to hear any other ideas you've got of things you'd like us to cover in the future. We do these monthly, but next month we're having a month off because it's summer and lots of people are away. It's summer on this side of the world, I should say. It's not summer everywhere, but hey, we do find people often things take a break around here at that time and in August. So we're going to do that. And it's been great having everybody along today, our audience, as well as with all your wonderful questions. And thank you so, so much. Sarah, Romeo, Bridgette, you've been amazing. Absolutely amazing. Tyson, also. Thank you. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having
Bye-bye.
us. Goodbye.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.